Everybody, it's Stefan Mischook with StudioWeb.com and KillerSites.com. So, in this video, I'm going to talk about using virtual machines with Windows to protect yourself from viruses. Now, what's a virtual machine? Let me just pop up a very popular one. So, VMware is one of these virtual machine products. It's basically a piece of software that allows you to install different versions of Windows in these virtual sandboxes. And then you could launch these versions of Windows like you would launch Microsoft Word or Photoshop or something like that. And what it basically does is, well, you buy the software, and then you take Windows, you install it into these little sandboxes, these containers that VMware Workstation, the software, provides. So what happens is that you can now, for instance, on your Windows 8 machine, you could run Windows 7, you could run Windows XP, you could run all these different Windows. And these versions of Windows would basically start up like you would start up any other piece of software, like a Photoshop or a Word. So why would you want to do this? Well, traditionally, people would use this to do testing of software. If they were software developers, they could test different versions of, they could test their software on different versions of Windows and etc. Mac people would use VMware Fusion, I believe it's called, so that they could run Windows on their Mac without having to restart the Mac. I used to do it for these two reasons, but one of the main reasons I used to use VMware when I use my Windows machine a lot, I use Mac a lot more now, is because of all the bloody viruses that are on the internet, all the Trojans and so on for Windows. So what I would do is I would have a version of Windows installed in one of these virtual containers that VMware provides for you. And when I want to surf the web, I would just launch that version of Windows. So for instance, I'm running Windows 7. I would have another version of Windows 7, another install. It's like having a separate computer almost. And I would launch it, and then I would surf the web with that virtual version of Windows. And it's pretty much, computers are so powerful, it's just as fast and as responsive as your normal version of Windows. And the reason you do this, well, first of all, you install it fresh, it's all configured. Then you take something called a snapshot. You press a button, and it basically takes a snapshot of your Windows, nice and clean, no bugs, no software installed, just how you want it, fresh, like a brand new computer. And then you surf the web with it, you do your stuff, and let's say you run into a virus. And what you can do is you can just one or two clicks of a button, you can revert back to that original clean version of Windows without having to reinstall your whole computer. So if you surf the web, you get a virus, it cannot spread outside of that virtual machine, that virtual version of Windows, because it's literally in a box. And then you can just press a button and go back to that version of Windows pre-virus. And that's just the very beginning of what you can do with virtual machines. So it's not too expensive to get these things. There are free versions. You don't have to get VMware. There's other free virtual machines out there. I haven't used them. I just use VMware myself, but I hear the other ones are pretty good. Just do a search for it. And it's very useful, especially if you're a Windows user, so that you can not have to worry about surfing the web. So I would just, if I was a Windows user, if I were you, I would get VMware Workstation, I would install it, and then I would install a version of Windows in this workstation. So this way you'll never have to worry about, as long as you surf the web with these virtual version of Windows, and you never have to worry about viruses and all this kind of stuff again. So it's pretty powerful stuff. Like I said, there's a whole bunch of other things you can do with virtual machines, but that just scratches the surface. But that in of itself is huge. I hope you found this useful.